welcome. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to stay tuned to the end to watch my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today, I'm going to talk about jewelry. And you know, all of us at some point in our lives have to buy jewelry as a gift for someone we love or even for ourselves. And so we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to speak with jewelry experts. So please welcome my guest. This is Leslie Sandler, and she's the owner of Leslie Sandler Fine Jewelry and Gemstones. Yes. And you're a master jeweler, and so I thought it would be really great to get some good information so we'll be educated consumers. So first of all, I just wanted to just ask you, what inspired you to go into the field?
Well, I come from, this is my second career.
Okay.
My first career was in high tech, but I come from a family of antique dealers and collectors of antique jewelry. So I've been collecting antique jewelry my whole life, and when I got out of tech, I decided that this is the direction I wanted to go.
Well, what excites you the most about the jewelry and the whole field?
Well, I love looking and researching jewelry and learning about the jewelry itself, but I also love working with people and being part of their milestones and their celebrations and sometimes their disappointments in life.
Yeah, I bet.
So I see the good and the bad, and I'm glad to help.
Yeah, it must be very rewarding
to
be
rewarding.
Part of it, especially sometimes a very exciting time in their life. Yeah.
Even if they've got a divorced or their mother died, I'm still helping.
Yeah, well, it's
it's exciting. We like to think about the happy times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell me a little bit. We all know, when we see jewelry, whether or not it's real or costume, we understand what jewelry is. But can you give us a little bit of background about jewelry?
Well, people have been adorning themselves with rocks and sparkly things since prehistoric times. So jewelry you can see it on the cave art. People have been ornamenting themselves. But the modern era of jewelry truly started probably in the 1600s or 1700s. And then with mass production of the Industrial Revolution, it became available to all of us, not just the royals and the nobles.
Yeah, it's true. You look at all the the ancient art, and you always see them being adorned in something.
People have been adorned. The Egyptians in the pyramids, people were adorned.
Yeah.
And so that's not new. But for most people, it was really something that happened in the 1800s and 1900s. Prior to that, it was really royalty and nobility.
What changed around that time?
Well, prior to that, everything had to be made absolutely by hand, every step of the way, and it was unique and custom. With the Industrial Revolution, they could mass-produce jewelry.
Oh. What were some of the first things that were mass-produced?
Bracelets. There's a lot of bracelets, pins, earrings. They could take a link and make it attractive and put the link in a bracelet. And they could make 2 of them in an earring, and they could put 20 of them in a necklace.
Oh, interesting.
And make a suite of jewelry, and really they only designed 1 link and stamped it out of a machine.
And what was the most popular item back in the day?
Well, back in the day, people, fashions change. People wore pins or brooches a lot, and then people have always worn rings. Pierced ears, as you know, go in and out of fashion. Yeah. But earrings, people have adorned themselves. But, the necklaces, pins, rings, earrings, those are pretty much it.
I remember when you look back at pictures of from the 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, you see people wearing brooches. Is there a difference between a brooch and a pin, or is it
No, it's the same thing. The word is interchangeable.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think they're interchangeable.
That's what I thought.
And brooches are coming back. Pins are coming back. In fact, today I was experimenting with wearing a pin on my sweater, and men are wearing pins now too. Michael B. Jordan, who's an actor, he wore an antique Art Deco pin on his tuxedo when he was just at one of the rewards events. And men that are not movie stars can also carry off pins and brooches, and we should bring them back. wear them on your sweater. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. They are. Since we're talking about different stages and different time with jewelry, what is the difference between vintage jewelry, antique jewelry, estate jewelry? You know, what are those terms? Can you explain that to us?
So let's start with the oldest, which is antique. Antique, by definition, is anything that's over 100 years old. So that's when it becomes antique, and then there's overlap. Vintage jewelry is something that I consider that it could be antique, but it's usually less than 100 years old, but it still has an older style. That's vintage. Estate means previously owned. It could be 3 weeks old, but once it's, you know, like a used car, it becomes estate jewelry. And then contemporary jewelry or new jewelry, which has never been previously owned and works that way. So
you know, I see a lot that's out there advertised, whether or not it's through a lot of the websites. There's a lot of different markets nowadays. It's always best to deal directly, I'm sure, with the jeweler, but you know, a lot of people buy on the internet these days too, and it's there's so many different terms that people use that's very confusing. So it's good to at least to understand, you know, what the difference is.
Well, the good news is the internet has been awesome for collectors of antique and estate and vintage jewelry, because people can be super specific in what their collections and what they're seeking, and the world, it becomes their option. For example, I had picked up an estate jewelry vintage piece that was from the 1940s, and I had the bracelet and the pin and a ring, and I was dying for the earrings. I had a necklace, and I went on one of the sites, and these earrings were there. My heart almost leaped out of my throat, and it was in North Carolina. So that person was thrilled to reunite this collection, and I would have never found it if not for the internet. But I was very specific on what I wanted.
Yeah. So, speaking about collection, is there certain collectible eras in?
Well, when you collect, you really should collect what you like. So there's some collections that I think are very undervalued and underappreciated, like Victorian jewelry is really cool. It's unusual. Queen Victoria was the queen for 70 years. She loved jewelry. And during her tenure, there was lots of different kinds of jewelry, but it doesn't seem to be as popular as, let's say, Art Deco jewelry or Edwardian jewelry, which is more of the platinum and filigree and diamonds, which people love. So Edwardian and Art Deco jewelry tends to be expensive because it's so popular, and you can really get a good value for some of these collectible things. And within Victorian, there's, you can have mourning jewelry. People, because she was in mourning, and that's like black jewelry.
Oh,
so
like
death jewelry. But then there's sentimental jewelry. They would use gemstones to spell out secret sentimental things. So let's say dearest, and it would be diamond, emerald, amethyst, ruby, emerald, sapphire, topaz.
I've never heard of that.
So that's a secret. So people collect. There's dearest, there's regard, and it's sort of a secret thing. There's suffragette jewelry that the women who were suffragettes and looking for the vote, they wore green, amethyst, peridot, and diamond, or just so the combination of white, green, and purple were the colors of the suffragettes. Very specific. But cool if you knew it. I mean, if you saw it, you'd just say, wow, purple and green. Yeah. But it's a subcategory. People collect cufflinks. Some people collect turtles. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, right.
But some are undervalued, and it's fun. And when you're specific, there's also something that's very well-priced and easy to look for is working woman's jewelry. In the beginning of the 1900s is when women started going back into the workforce as, secretaries and administrators and everything, and they had some money, and they started collecting their own jewelry, and it would be this mass-produced, inexpensive at the time, white gold jewelry or white metal jewelry even.
So costume jewelry?
No, but some of it was good, but it was never expensive or fine.
Okay, and what's the difference between, like, I would assume if something wasn't real gold or real silver, that it's considered costume. Is that
It's considered costume, but with even costume, things are collectible. During wartime, precious metals are not available. So there's ironwork jewelry, there's wood jewelry, European, there's there's rubber, vulcanite, which is to replace jet or onyx it was a less expensive alternative for the mourning period. There's also hair jewelry, I forgot, that people used to like weave their hair into a lot of things of their loved ones and of their death and put it into jewelry. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Could be creepy, but or cool, depending how you look at it.
So what are, the average person may not know what's considered valuable or not. Do you have like any tips for us that so we don't make mistakes? Yeah,
we all make mistakes. The first thing is, buy what you like. Don't buy it because you think it's a great investment. The thrill of the hunt is to buy that $3,000, like what you see at Antiques Roadshow where they spend $25 for and it's worth thousands. But if you really love it and you pay fair value with thousands, that's good too. So buy what you like, try to deal with reputable people, and do your homework and research, and then afterwards, make sure they have a good return policy if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But if you spent a few dollars on it and you like it, who cares?
Yeah, I think that what makes something valuable, sometimes it could just be sentimental.
Right, and none of this has true value. None of it's going to help us survive. We can't eat it or drink it. This is all just pretty.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the rarity of it. And something might be exceedingly rare, and very old, but it doesn't mean that it's valuable or expensive.
Yeah, and so that leads me to, a lot of times people do inherit jewelry. I know, like, I inherited jewelry, and that's considered heirloom. Is that
right? I call it heirloom. Yeah. It's also estate, and within that estate that you inherit, there might be a combination of contemporary, vintage, old, because people have been dragging stuff along for generations, and it's a good time to do a jewelry box review because women through history have been wearing good pearls and good diamonds with faux pearls and fake diamonds, and it all gets jumbled in a box, and you don't know what's real or what's not, so you just keep it all together. And sometimes a good jewelry box review is just what you need so you can let some of that stuff go. And
where would somebody get a jewelry box review? To take it to a jeweler?
Well, an independent jeweler, someone who knows about antique and estate jewelry, and it can help you go through it. I mean, they charge, there's a fee, like a doctor or a lawyer, because they are professionals.
Yeah.
But it helps people clear out. I dealt with a woman who had stuff in the safe deposit box for 10 or 15 years. She literally didn't know. And we sat down for 3 or 4 hours. She sold a lot of it. She cleaned it up, and it's sorted out, and she's ready to go and wear.
Wow.
Otherwise, it would have sat there for decades more.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have that, and I know myself, I have, like, inherited just, I don't know what's costume or what, but it all has sentimental value, right. So it's all valuable,
And sometimes within this, there's what we call buried treasure. Yeah. So you think it's costume, and it turns out to be a buried treasure.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's real. It goes both ways. Stuff that you think is precious is not so valuable,
right.
And something that you're about to give to Goodwill turns out to be worth a lot.
I've heard those stories a lot. That's so interesting. So,
it's fun.
Yeah. So we're just going to take a break. So I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy. So stay tuned. We're going to continue talking with Leslie Sandler, and we'll be right back.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
First day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and we're going to continue talking about jewelry and what we should know with Leslie Sandler. So, Leslie, let's continue talking about what we should know, right?
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So, what are some things that we should consider when we're looking at jewelry? And I know you whether or not it's our taste, but is there anything else?
Well, you have to take into account the price or the cost.
Yeah.
Because all jewelry being different, you have beautiful jewelry that's $5 and beautiful jewelry that's $500,000, and it's obviously we can't all afford everything. So cost, style, and construction, but yeah, so cost and if you like it are really the two most important things.
Yeah, and I know like they have such amazing, I don't know if you call it like fakes, you know, that are out there that look almost real.
Yeah.
And even in the, I know I've seen like, you know, fake glass stones or whatever, but now they can grow stones, right? They have lab-grown diamonds, I've heard.
Yep, they have lab-grown diamonds. Well, historically, people have always combined fake with real stones.
Oh, yeah?
There's been faux pearls around for hundreds of years. And there's been faux diamonds and fake rubies, hundreds and hundreds of years. But the person knows, like in your heart, you know if it's real or fake, so you might carry it a little differently. You might carry and sometimes they put fake stones in gold or platinum, because there's been periods of time where gold is very inexpensive, but the gems are very expensive, and now gold is relatively expensive, and the diamonds and stones are less expensive. So, you know, those styles change based on that. And lab-grown diamonds are just the latest in historical trends of
Innovation.
You know, before lab-grown diamonds, we've had, cubic zirconias and glass and topaz and everything else. But lab diamonds are real diamonds.
So they're considered real diamonds?
They're real diamonds as far as they're 100% carbon, but the main difference is they're grown above ground, as opposed to being mined
in the
underground.
Diamond mine that you hear about. Yeah.
So there's a very big difference as far as that, and their rarity. So yes, they are real diamonds, but a diamond that is grown, over millions of years underground is much more rare, and will continue to be more rare than something that's mass-produced in a lab that right now is, not expensive, but I equate it as these, become more efficient, much like our microwaves and our TVs, the price is just expected to drop over the years.
So how does somebody be able to differentiate,
Well, right now, if you're dealing with somebody who's honest and ethical, because you don't want it to be misrepresented one way or another. So right now, on the edge of lab-created diamonds, they are laser inscribed, where it says lab created.
Okay.
And a lot of below ground mine diamonds are also laser inscribed with their report.
Okay, so somebody can look, with like a loop.
Right, and it's teeny micro.
Yeah.
The danger, of course, is over time that laser inscription is polished off. Or there's always people who are unethical along the way, so you just need to deal with what's true. But there's alternatives to lab-created diamonds, which right now are the latest buzz, but there's clarity-enhanced diamonds, which are also less expensive. They are natural mined diamonds underground, but they've had some plastic surgery to make them look better.
What do they do?
So they take a little laser and they drill out the black spot that you can see with the naked eye. So it looks better, but you're not paying for a stone that occurred naturally. Once again, you just need to be aware of it. I had a client come to me with her mother's big splashy diamond, and all she knew that it was not a very good diamond. And it was a good diamond. It was rare, it was mined in the ground, it was big. However, it had some plastic surgery and it was laser drilled. So as long as that's not misrepresented,
but you can identify that. You can see that. If
yes, I can see
it. You can see where it's been drilled into.
I can see where it's been drilled, and sometimes they fill it with so it has a purple flash. I mean, those are designed to not misrepresent people.
Okay.
Because you don't want to misrepresent people. If people are paying $800 for a diamond that's worth $800, it should be. They're not getting something for nothing. And the one thing in the diamond world is if something seems too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
It's very commoditized.
So I think that's really across the board in everything. If something seems too good to be true, then there's no free lunches out there.
There is no free lunch on it. Unless you do one of your Antiques Roadshow. Ooh, look what I found. But that's not most of us.
Yeah. So it's it's good to know these things. So and I know I would imagine that engagement rings are something that's very, very popular, that people go to jewelers. Is that the most popular thing that people buy, the diamonds?
Well, it's the first major purchase for most young couples. Well, besides maybe a car or something, but it's as a commitment. And yes, it's a big thing, and it's also engagement rings like that really only came to be huge in the 20th century, in the 1900s.
Oh, yeah?
And into that, when De Beers and the Diamond Promotion Service started promoting a diamond is forever, past, present, and future, is 2 months' salary too much? Yeah. That's all De Beers marketing, and we fell for it hook, line, and sinker in the U.S. Prior to that, people picked color. So Mary Todd Lincoln, who was married to Abe, she wore a garnet engagement ring. We all know in the British royal family, Princess Diana, now Kate Middleton, wore sapphire. Fergie wore a ruby. Her daughter, Princess Eugenie, wears a sapphire. Peach-colored sapphire. It's beautiful. And Meghan Markle wears diamonds, but she's American.
Yeah.
So, of course, she's going to. And actually, Queen Elizabeth wears a diamond also, but I think her diamonds actually came from Prince Philip's mother's jewels.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and
but
you
if she has
see like their
jewelry,
tiaras that usually have like those big stones. They're some kind of like a sapphire or
right, but her engagement ring came from Prince Philip's family jewels.
Oh, okay.
Not even though she had enough of her own.
Yeah.
So yeah, diamonds are a relatively new thing, but they're, when I say that, for the last 100 years.
Wow, that's so interesting, because I think that, I guess I'm not as educated about jewelry as I should be.
Well, because in our life, everybody had diamond engagement rings, and most people want diamond engagement rings.
So
in the U.S.
So tell us a little bit about let's say if somebody was getting an engagement ring, like what would you say to them?
Well, when a young man or a couple comes to me, when a man comes to me, because
a woman.
Well, for engagement rings, it's usually the guy comes first. And the homework I give him is find out what shape diamond. First, does she want a diamond? Yeah. I'm working with a man now, and this woman wants a teal-colored Montana sapphire. She does not want a diamond. So we're going down that avenue. But first you ask if she wants a diamond. The next question is, what shape diamond does she want? Does she want a round diamond? Does she want a pear-shaped diamond, a square diamond, a cushion? So that's homework. And then does she have a certain style ring that she wants it set in? Does she want sapphires to accent it? Does she want a lot of little diamonds with a halo? Does she want plain? Does she want white gold or yellow gold? And the hardest question I ask guys, and they never get it right, or rarely, unless they get the woman involved, is what finger size is his girlfriend? That's true. They have to get that right. Oh, well, I guess you can always resize it. Well, I had a couple that just got engaged this week in Hawaii, and his diamond ring that he had no idea is so big on her, we have to remake the ring. Wow. And so what is like the most popular choice that most people get? Well, round diamonds are the most popular shape and the most expensive shape, and they are the most sparkly shape. Mm-hmm. So that never changes. If the other shape... Because of the way it's cut. Because it's always the most sparkly. Yeah. The other shapes go in and out of fashion. In the 1980s, pear shapes and marquise shapes were popular, and all the square shapes of emerald cut.
I guess that's why I got a pear shape.
They're coming back. The square shapes sold at a huge discount off of rounds and pears. And then it switched, and then pear shapes and marquise shapes went out. But round is always the most. So fancy cuts always sell at a discount off of round diamonds. If you have a friend who wants a pear shape, you get a better value. The least popular diamond shape is heart. And you can always get a great value on a heart diamond or a heart sapphire or heart ruby, but you have to like hearts.
So that's all really good information. So can you tell me if people want to reach you, can you give us your website?
Well, my website is www.jewelerforlife.com.
Okay, because you know, you have a lot of good information, and I think that there's a lot of variables when you buy jewelry, or even if you inherit jewelry, you don't know. So it's always good to know a lot of these good tips that you've given. So let me ask you, what is like your favorite piece of jewelry? You know, I know you probably own like a lot of different kinds. But
right, right now I'm on a pin thing, so I really like pins. My personal preference, I love antique and estate jewelry, and my own personal collection has all been previously owned.
Oh.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And but right now I have a big pin. Of course, I'm not wearing it today, and it's from about the 1940s, and it's sterling, and it's about that big, and it's roses, or the bow and leaves. And at first, I thought this thing is too big. And then I put it on, and it's like, this thing makes a happy statement.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. So thank you so much, Leslie, for giving us all this information about jewelry, and from everything from estate to vintage to diamond buying. So you've really given us a lot of good info and educating us about that. Thank you so much for being here today.
It makes me happy to be here.
So thank you so much. I'm Nira Berry. I'm your host of Happy and Healthy. So stay tuned for our next segment of What's Good to Know, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy. And now it's time for What's Good to Know. And what's good to know is that you feel really good when you express yourself. You know, whether or not through wearing fancy jewelry, or whether or not you're writing poetry, or even through movement. It's all a component of happiness. And it's really wonderful to just let yourself go and just be open about it. But very often people don't. You know, they sometimes are concerned about what other people think, and they may have negative thoughts about that. And they'll put up barriers and walls and won't let people in. And that can have an effect on your overall happiness. We don't want to be afraid to express ourselves. You know, like, how do you feel when you do that? Like, probably not so great. You know, when just think about like when you restrict yourself for whatever reason. Like, for instance, I was always told I couldn't sing, and I love to sing, but I was told I don't have a good voice, and maybe I don't, but why should I stop myself from really expressing myself? It's just such a wonderful feeling to just let it go. And so I always recommend to my coaching clients, you know, if you feel like you're just not comfortable expressing yourself, maybe think more positive thoughts. And anytime a negative one comes in, just try to turn it off and think about how great you'll feel. So I say, like, you know, first think about how you'll feel, and then act out your heart. Just let it go and go ahead and express yourself. Studies show that when you express yourself, you really bring out more positive feelings, and that'll make you feel better and happier in the long run. So give it a try. Let me know how that feels. You can always let me know. I'm Nira, the happiness coach, and you can reach me at info@niraberry.com. So thanks so much for watching Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host, and I hope you have a happy day.